Polite inquiries, the whacker. Shadley Rahman says,
Chads?
Pakistan won against Zimbabwe. Will Pakistan blame Misbah for the victory as well?
Misbah's fault. Comes second only to Trott's fault or KP's fault. Well, that would be third.
It's horrible. The funny thing is, like, people call him Tuk Tuk. To be honest, sometimes you need a Tuk Tuk. And in this case, without him, you would have lost to Zimbabwe. And where are all the tweets from all the Misbah haters saying we would have lost to Zimbabwe without him? No, you didn't do that. You still abused him for winning a game. What is wrong with you people? Umar Javed says, Ireland has won 43 ODIs. How many has Bangladesh won? Ireland feels so much better. There is an important clarification here that because Bangladesh sort of jumped all the associate cricket that was being set up by the ICC, they have had to play at a much higher level, which, to be honest, hasn't maybe helped them as much as it could have, but that's why they don't win as much as Ireland. Ireland have played a few ODIs against worse teams, but yeah, look, it still stands. It makes sense what you're saying. You're not wrong. Ireland are a very good team and they deserve more chances, and I don't think anyone really at this stage believes that they've been looked after correctly or that they've been promoted enough. And I think they've proved that they're a decent cricket team. And they've also proved in losing to some of the other associates that the other associates have been quite good.
Absolutely, and it's not the first time that they've won too. They've caused an upset in a World Cup because we saw that amazing game where they beat England. So Ireland have done it. They've come along again. We all know they need more consistent games before a World Cup. This is the only chance that Ireland and other teams have to actually have the media listen to them as well, so they're making the most of it.
And also very important to remember that it wasn't that long ago that people said, well, Ireland just has a bunch of expats playing, and they have now, they started making their own homegrown talent. Okay, occasionally they end up with England, but they actually have started making their own homegrown talent, and they are making young Irish players who are coming through, and so they're doing exactly everything that cricket has asked of them. Unfortunately, then cricket changed the question.
Yeah, they used to have expats, now they just export. They have exports now instead of expats.
It's all about business. Parnell Patel says, Jimmy Anderson this World Cup, 4 games, 2 wickets, 182 runs, an economy rate of 6.27. Should he play in the next game?
Well, I mean,
you're going to drop English players who are out of form.
Probably wouldn't be him. I'm actually really surprised. I mean, maybe it's just a dip because in the tri-series leading up to this World Cup, he actually looked pretty good. Like, he was getting the ball to swing early on, he was dangerous, you know, he was certainly beating the bat a lot more, so it just seems to be at the really important time he's not gone so well. But he's not the only England bowler.
To be fair, Stuart Broad's not doing that much better. I think the biggest problem is they're worried that they're going to have to drop both of them at once at this stage. They probably should have let Broad out of the last game and taken a punt with someone else. They didn't, and now they might have 2 very experienced players who they'll have to drop at the same time, which is a bit of a problem.
Well, selection-wise, I think they're not hiding to nothing.
Yeah, they should pick Umar Akmal.
Because they need some drop catches.
Alvaro says, if you mention KP in every edition of Polite Inquiries, how many more views would this equate to? Enough to get Vaughan to guest on this show. Look, most importantly, what we want to do is mention KP enough to get to the par KP total, which England have come up with, which is, it's very low, the par KP total, to be fair. There was a point, I swear I was watching South Africa play Ireland today, there was a point where I thought, South Africa have gone past 300, England would declare here.
But it's amazing how this situation has been a year in the making, where it was created, everything that's happened, the way the ECB handled it, the lead up to the ban on him speaking, the BBC interview, the launch of the book, it's all built up to this point where every time England fail in this World Cup, someone is just going to mention KP, and it's been a year's story just evolving beautifully.
Scott Arthur says, why don't we see many good players from associate nations get county or shield contracts? Oh, well, it goes further than that. They don't get IPL contracts, they don't get Big Bash contracts. I think if we were playing a proper sport at this stage and we realised that what we needed to do was grow the game globally, what we would probably do is allow the Big Bash, the county and the IPL teams to all have an associate player in each of their teams?
Well, the BPL does. In Bangladesh, they do. Every team in the BPL has to have an associate nation. So a lot of the Afghanistan players like Shapur have played Shapur. I just want to mention Shapur when I can. They have had experience, and that's invaluable. There is a player from Afghanistan whose name eludes me at the moment, playing who's been signed for a Big Bash side. So they have, I mean, the Big Bash here, they do have their rookie contracts that have gone to players from Papua New Guinea and some for Indigenous players. So
what they haven't done is uniformly, and I think that's probably the next step. Not like it doesn't happen, it just doesn't happen enough. And it's
not a policy except for it in the BPL.
And I also think so far what they've done is they've only picked players they think are good enough. I think more importantly is to get them into a professional setup so they know what professional cricketers actually do to get the most out of themselves, rather than only picking someone when they're already good enough, which is sort of a self-defeating prophecy, because how do we get them good enough, etc., etc. Look, can of worms. English Nick says, did this tournament need a rest day?
Well, I needed a rest day. We needed a rest day for sure. Look, the whole tournament's bloated, and we know that anyway.
Logistics of this tournament, they're not perfect, and the schedule of this tournament is obviously not perfect. But you've got to look at certain things. UAE finished playing here 2 days ago, and they've had their next game's in Napier.
And they've got to stop in. They've got to go Melbourne, Auckland, Napier
to get
there.
When Afghanistan lost to Bangladesh, they had to go to New Zealand at 5 a.m. the next morning. There is, it's a very tightly packed tournament. People have got to understand that Perth to Napier, for instance, is a 17-day trip.
Hey, Sydney to Perth I'm jet lagged. Yeah. I've just come from Sydney.
Your boy says,
your boy?
Is my cat a better fielder than Nasir Jamshed? That is unfair to your cat. He's a better fielder, or she, than all of the Pakistani team.
Meow.
Oz Cricket Fan says, is there any way we can get Shapor Zadran to co-host the show?
Only if I am the other co-host.
I took a selfie with him.
You are such a fanboy. I'll host it. I'll host it with you again if you'll grow your hair like Shapor.
I used to actually have hair like that, but I just found that when you bowl a very slow leg spin, it doesn't really drift back. Saketh says, I loved your article on UAE, obviously talking to you. What can viewers like me do to tell the ICC that I do want to see them play more? Well, they have email accounts, they have Twitter.
There is an online petition as well.
There's an online petition, they're on Facebook. I suggest if you really want to see the associates play, you tell the ICC in every single medium that they ask you to talk to them in.
If enough people say things, then it's going to get pretty hard to ignore.
We'll see you next time.